All right, for our opening activity, we're going to be talking about the La Brea tar pits. So we've actually been discussing this a little bit in our unit already. So we've kind of introduced what the La Brea tar pits are. Let me go ahead and show. You can track my cursor here. The La Brea tar pits are located in Los Angeles. So I'm kind of circling it right here. It's in Southern California, which is in the United States. The La Brea tar pits, as you can see, they're right outside the museum here. The La Brea Tar Pits Museum. It's this big puddle of kind of this black goopy stuff, which is known as tar. You can see a picture of it right down here. So it's like kind of dark and it's sticky, and it usually bubbles up right in the La Brea Tar Pits, but also kind of around there. So just around the streets of LA, close to the main tar pits. So sometimes in parks and places like that. But it's mostly centered around Los Angeles. So it's not really found in like San Bernardino or like San Luis Obispo. So we're going to kind of think about is why is it only found there? All right, so what I wanted to show you right now is a map of global oil reserves. So tar is very similar to oil. It's made in very similar ways. Tar is just kind of like a really crude type of oil. So you can see in this map, the darker the color, the more oil is found in that country. So as you can see, just looking at this map, look at kind of like where the tar or where the oil is found, like where you can see it. And what I'm gonna have you do, just a couple minutes, or just a couple seconds, you're gonna be discussing in your private chat window with Lexi, Clarabelle, and Sarah. You're gonna be looking at this map and see what did you notice about the way oil is distributed over the earth, so over the continent specifically. It doesn't show ocean reserves. And then for question 2, what do you know from last class, or in this case just your own prior knowledge, about how oil is formed? What's the geologic process? What are the processes that go in to create oil? So I'm going to give you exactly 1 minute now, and then I'll have you come back in and I'll ask someone to share. Okay, so start talking now in your chat window. And if you have any questions, you can also feel free to message me or just ask. Okay, we got about 20 more seconds, so just start kind of wrapping up. Okay, and we are gonna go ahead and bring it back now. So would anyone like to share out loud what they thought about what they and their group thought about question 1?
Well, I noticed that just based on colors and the distribution, clearly oil is not spread out equally across our planet. There are some places like I don't know, Colombia or somewhere in South America and in the Middle East where there's a massive amount of oil reserves. And then there's other areas like Southern Africa that have like none, it looks like.
Okay, so you notice that it's not spread equally over the surface of the earth. All right, thank you for that. Now how about question 2? Does anyone have an idea of how oil is formed? What processes go into that?
It comes from fossil fuels.
Okay, so like, what do you think, like what organisms do you think go into oil to form it? And this can just be a guess because this is just your prior knowledge. I didn't teach you last lesson.
I would say animals that have died.
Yeah, so in this case, oil is actually generally comes from organisms that live in the ocean, specifically shallow oceans. So really shallow oceans, you get organisms like phytoplankton, you get organisms like algae, these tiny little organisms that die, they sink to the bottom, and then they get compressed by other, they get compressed by more organisms and then by sediment, and all that heat and pressure kind of convert them into oil. All right, but thank you for sharing your idea. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next slide. So our agenda today, we already looked at our map and discussed oil reserves in different countries. Next, we're going to use the best method to fit land masses together with a partner, take notes on a PowerPoint about evidence for continental drift, and we're going to have a closing video and some questions. So I'm going to pause the share.